Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to your Aries March 2022 forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, for those of you who are stopping by for the first time, and welcome if that's the case. Hope you're doing well. Well, Aries, the highly talented and attractive Aries. Actually, it's well known that the Aries woman is amongst the most beautiful of women in the zodiac. In fact, some time ago I produced a video called Aries Woman, Sex and Style. And I'll put a link to it in the description. It runs for about 7 minutes, I think, and you can see what my thoughts are on the particular sexual interests of the Aries woman. In general, of course. But now let's draw 4 cards, 5 cards, in fact, shall we? 5, the number of change, because change is something that we are always interested in. Now this deck is one which has theme of sub-Saharan Africa, by and large, and as a result of that, the people in it are, for a change, coloured, which I'm pleased to do. So let's get things underway and draw something here and see what it is, shall we? I've just received this deck. It's come in from the woman. There is the Sun. Perfect card for you, Aries Sun. Your Sun is exalted in Aries, isn't it? 9 of gourds. Now, gourds, that is cups, because in sub-Saharan Africa, in the tribes, people who lived on the land, they didn't have glass cups necessarily, but used clay gourds. So that's the 9 of gourds. But one which is a particularly great card for you, well, there's 2 have come out here. The 8 of staffs, otherwise known as wands. The 6 of coins. This is setting out to be something of an extraordinary set of cards for you, I'm pleased to say, this month. And finally, what's this one here? The 10 of staffs. Well, as usual, come down, sit down here next to me. We'll have a good close look at these cards together while I do the reading for you. Let's do this, Aries. There you are, Aries. Now, the first card I think that we'll have a look at is this one, the 10 of staffs, as called by the developer. Now, what a very interesting thing it is here. I'm getting the feelings of responsibility and status around you, ambition, almost a releasing of burdens as well, and delegation of things to other people. Do you know, you have been taught from a very young age that the top is the place to be. Yet it can be the loneliest and most demanding position to be in. Now you must shoulder the weight of all you have acquired, and that load can be quite heavy. It's at this place that you find completion, not in having it all, but making sure that you are happy with what you've been able to realistically manage. Now, despite the responsibilities, I think, that weigh you down, you do have the energy to complete the tasks ahead of you. Now, to do so means you must grab onto what you can to break free. Here you see the excess wands breaking away, falling to the sides, with 2 held above the person's head here, as you can see. Now, at the chest band on the person, I don't know if you can see that. Let's have a closer look. There is the symbol of the Egyptian goddess Maat, representing truth, balance, order, harmony, law, morality, and justice. She is a reminder to get back to the basics for you. Now, Maat prevented the universe from falling back into chaos by understanding and harmonizing all polarities. Well, you must also weigh your heart so that you can find the proper balance to allow you to move past the burdens and onto success. At this point, you can decide whether you need to find a new method to push forward or to delegate responsibilities to others for the success of the whole. Now, the astrology of the card and the energy around it is, I think, quite confronting, because it is Saturn ruling the third decan of Sagittarius, that 13th to the 22nd of December. Well, Sagittarius wants to expand and express its optimism and spiritual side. And Saturn, as you will know, is, well, generally characterized about restriction, and so it represses the expansive nature of Sagittarius. So there is a period here where maybe you do feel overburdened and taking on too much, feeling the pressure, or no control over circumstances, or you may even feel as if you are a victim of your own success. Now, whether you are consciously representing yourself or not, recognize that there is much more which you would like to express, to experience. So enjoy and celebrate. Dare. Now, there are some things you have always wanted to say to certain people, I think. Well, what are those things, and who are those people? And you can now, for the time being, just for yourself, express those things right now. And say this to yourself: I have the right to follow my feelings and life impulses. Well, what is the card that's underneath it? Let's have a look, shall we? It's also in the suit of staffs, and this is the 8. Now, 8. Let's have a look at the imagery on it. Well, at first sight, it doesn't seem to offer us very much, does it? Yet I am reminded of a folklore tale from the people of Nigeria, that one morning there was an overseer. This is in the time of slaves. An overseer called Mr. Blue, and he went down one morning with a long whip to whip the slaves good. Anyway, he whipped them good, and they got together and stuck the hoe in the field, and then rose up into the sky and turned themselves into buzzards and flew right back to Africa. Now, this tale has its roots in an early revolt that took place when the Igbo of West Africa were enslaved and brought to St. Simon's Island. I'm pretty sure it was in Georgia. The conditions were so horrible that the people fought back, forcing the ship crew into the water to drown. Now, it has been said that they flew back home, or that they attempted to swim back and drowned. Many scholars believe, sadly, that it was a collective suicide, as they refused to submit to the horrendous system of American slavery. Now, notwithstanding that rather dark anecdote that I present to you there, the astrology of this is very fortuitous. It is Mercury ruling the first decan of Sagittarius, that 23rd of November to the 2nd of December. This is the Lord of swiftness. Now, Mercury, as you probably know, is the planet of communication, and Sagittarius has the swiftness of the arrow. So this is going to produce in you something of a restless intellect, I think, at this time. And this number 8 here, this is about power, balance, harmony, manifestation, practicality, skill, and decision. This is really the energy for overcoming the hindrances which stand in your way. The blockage represented by the dark scene in the background I hear transforms itself into freedom and flight. Now, if you state your own standpoint openly, directly, and clearly, these hindrances can be transformed and misunderstandings yield to clarity. You have found your inner center, I think, and can present your position with emphasis and openness. And if you overcome the tendency to hesitate and are prepared to call disturbing influences by name, you rob them of their power to restrict and hinder you. This image of flight is a symbol of wholeness, indicating that a process is coming to an end. You look back, realizing that the difficulties of the past have helped bring the learning process to completion. You can now transform any situation, problem, or obstacle by taking swift action with direct communication to resolve it. And it does highlight the need for clear communication to manifest the things that you want in your life. The card talks about the refinement of the wand's energy. So you need to be clear with others and manifest things for the highest good. And I think you can expect it to be busy. This card has a lot of energy propelling you towards your goal. And I think you may quickly complete a project that is underway. Now determine where your energy will be directed. Focus on it and get on it. Because the moment has come for you to define where you stand. And if you are open and remain centered, misunderstandings will be cleared. Now, is there anyone to whom you do not dare to openly state where you stand? Well, use this opportunity to open yourself up more to those people who mean something to you. Talk to them and say this to yourself at this time. My openness and self-confidence opens the hearts of those that I love. Now, moving from these fire cards, let's have a look at the fire. The queen or the prince or the king of fire itself. That is the major arcana of the sun. Now, here the sun sits proudly with a halo of golden light emanating from its great presence. Its inner spirit rises to its crown to bask in this new glow, filled with sparkle and delight. The light within emerges, charged and ready to operate at full strength. Now there is a certainty of self-trust and contentment that brings release and peace to you at this time. Now the sun, like the lion, realizes this place is a birthright that it can now act upon with grace. The time for struggle is over for you. Through all the trials that came before, you have found new hope, renewal, and authenticity. The sun has cast its joyous, warm light upon you, and you can now celebrate. To put it in a nutshell, it is a time for celebration. Living life at your best and highest expression, no longer weighed down by fears and regrets, gives you a newfound freedom. You are full of confidence and take each day as it comes. You know that all is well in the end and that you are more than equipped to deal with anything that life throws your way. You have proven your own strength and rightful place in this position of self-empowerment. This is the Lord of the fire of the Word. Now the sun is the source of life and represents success and abundance, and this is going to follow you in your life at this period. The energy gets you through tough times, and the sun will illuminate your path after what has been, I think, something of a trying time, hasn't it? Will embrace your goals and give it everything you've got. If you've had tough times, and I think you have had a couple, then things are going to get better. You can now move mountains. This is a highly creative energy with awareness, and it speaks of fulfilled love relationships, wisdom, spirituality, transformation. In a word, it is the word yes. Riches around here, the possibility of a marriage, certainly success, good fortune, optimism, and happiness. The fulfillment of your wishes is possible here and now. Relax and give yourself up to the dance. The right partners will find each other. What task or project is on the agenda for you now? Say this to yourself. I work well in teamwork situations. I enjoy making contributions to group efforts. I am a cooperative person. Visualize the light and warmth of the sun in your chest and heart now. For the next few days, remind yourself several times daily that the sun is shining in and through you, and say to yourself, I am in harmony with the divine light which fills and guides me. Well, next, I think I'm being told by the Spirit is this card here. Look at the interesting melanation that's on these cards. Do you see that reflected in the light? Fascinating. Really quite beautiful artwork, I think. Unusual, certainly to say the least. Now, the Nine of Cups, or in this case, the Nine of Gourds. Do you know there's an old Ethiopian proverb that says if you pick up one end of the stick, you also pick up the other? Well, that is an acknowledgement, I suppose, of your own power of manifestation, for better or for worse. It is here that you are challenged with obtaining the pleasure and desires you've been looking for. Now, all the gourds are up for the taking, leading to indulgence, perhaps, and great satisfaction, I have to say. But this Nine of Gourds, it seems to me, in this position here, can be something of a trickster. Now, here you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 gourds which are overflowing. You see this blue stuff which is overflowing out of the gourds. And there's a ninth gourd here, isn't there? Because they're connected, all these others, to this ninth, which is guarded by a strange entity that I suppose you can think of as the Wishmaster. Now, the overflowing waters of the outer gourds work their way inward, almost like the legs of a spider. In African and Caribbean folklore, the trickster, Anansi, is symbolized by the spider, but may also appear in other forms. Now, Anansi uses intelligence and cleverness to outwit opponents, and at times to humanity's detriment, it has to be said. But this is a good metaphor, I think, for how the manifestation of your desires can lead to your downfall. Not always, but be careful what you wish for. Even when life seems to be going well, it is necessary to check in with the self, to see that this fulfillment isn't simply shallow and material. If it is, at the very least understand that it isn't meant to be a state of permanence. You must always be about your business of living and growing. But the good news is that I have a very constructive astrology applying to this card at present, and it is Jupiter ruling the second decan of Pisces, that first to the 9th of March. This is the Lord of material happiness. Now, Jupiter rules Pisces in classical astrology, so there is a very strong complementary energy there. And Jupiter's philosophical approach aligns well with Pisces spirituality. Jupiter, the great benefic, also brings good luck and happiness. I really do see for you here, despite those warnings about materiality that I spoke of, that this is a time of bliss, overflowing love, deep joy and blessings. You have the fulfillment of the goal of love, and it may well be that this is a time when your wishes will be granted, but as I say, be careful of what you do wish for. Abundance, reward for your future, and just like this Sun card, this is speaking of a very bright future This moment is filled with harmony and inner joy. Open yourself to it totally. Don't miss out. Where do you seek and where do you find your true happiness? The influence of Jupiter in the sign of Pisces, furthermore, creates more than just a feeling of mere sympathy for yourself or other people, but a great sense of blessedness arises from total joy. The quality of this joy shows that it is deeply rooted, I think. It is not the result of some superficial pleasure. And good for you. It speaks of bliss, which derives its energy from the deepest reaches of a soul at peace. This is a time when you should breathe and feel. If you are alone, enjoy your solitude. If you are together with others, enjoy their presence. If you have a job to do it in silent devotion. And say this always, particularly at this time, that happiness is my natural condition. Now that takes us, I think, to the final card. Is it the final? Yes, let's have a look at this. This is the 6 of coins. Now, what can I get from this image here? Now, there is an African story that many years ago, the sun and water were great friends and both lived on earth together. The sun very often used to visit the water, but the water never returned his visits. Water told the sun his house wasn't big enough for him and his people, so he wouldn't visit until the sun built a home big enough for all of them. The sun went home and consulted with his wife, the moon, both agreeing to build a big compound. And once it was done, the sun invited water over along with its friends. Water then began to flow in, accompanied by the fish and all the water animals. Once knee-deep, the water checked in to see if there was more room, and the sun said yes. Then the water was at eye level, but the sun said that there was enough room for more of the water's friends. And soon the sun and moon had to move up to the roof. The sun still insisted there was enough room until water overflowed the rooftop, and the sun and moon were forced to go up into the sky, where they remained ever since. Now I think this 6 of coins is a sort of a allegorical depiction of that tale of why the sun and the moon live in the sky. Now the sun and the moon here merge, forming an eclipse. Astrologically, eclipses herald unexpected changes in life, and here we see the sun and moon giving charity to the water. In the story, they gave so much that they were forced out of their home. Yet they still exist in the sky, gloriously and graciously. Below the water and its friends thrive, sprouting luscious green growth. Now this story also asks you to examine the balance of give and take within your personal relationships, I think. Now, looking at the moon appears in the astrology of this card as you might success. Incidentally, this is the Lord of material success, this card. But the astrology here is that of the moon ruling the second decan of Taurus, the 1st to the 10th of May. Now, in astrology, the moon is exalted in Taurus, which is a very good sign. But the moon's transient nature means that success can be short-lived, even though this is the Lord of material success. Now, the moon likes nurturing and comfort, and Taurus likes material things, so they're really well suited for bringing about material success. So I think here, this is such a good spread for you this month, isn't it? This is really bringing about external manifestation of the inner success and transformation. So there really is, I think, here a time where you may feel that you're having some sort of material success and a degree of financial prosperity. You may well find that you have the opportunity to be involved in a profitable adventure. But this is also a reminder for you to remember the successes in your life and build on these. There is certainly here a desire for success, and the advice is to be willing to take risk, to be committed, trust your intuition. Be open to your success. It is no less than a gift you can learn to accept thankfully and humbly. And real success only comes once you have learned to serve. Success under these conditions enriches all levels of your being. So what does success mean for you at the moment? Visualize as precisely as possible what your success looks like. And say to yourself, particularly at this time, that my self-acceptance and self-confidence, they are the keys to real success. That's the way it is for you.
Did you like that? I certainly enjoyed providing it to you, and thank you very much for joining me for your March 2022 reading. Now, if you did enjoy it on the way out, please do me the favor of smashing the like button. It's good for the YouTube thing, the software algorithm that allows more people to see the readings. But in the meantime, I want you to remember one thing, though, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, it's bye for now.